Alrighty, so let's dive straight into it. I mean, today we had another day of very good follow through. We had another day of a couple of names opening up. I believe a couple of them had some PRs in the morning, and there were a lot of them on the top gainers, and that's why we were able to kind of catch a lot of moves. So let's kind of recap some of the ones that we had in the morning that everyone was basically watching. And we had this one here, which was CFRX. Let's see if they had any news today. CFRX, dun, dun, dun. Not seeing anything fresh, no problem. Then I know PRST was the second runner on the day, and this one did not really have any news either. Oh, okay, right here. So that was pretty old though. So nothing really fresh. That's still completely fine. Charts were primed, I guess, and they just got hit with that volume. So let's dive right into it. So one of the trades that we actually took today was Bed Bath & Beyond. We traded a 5-minute flag on Bed Bath & Beyond right here into the open. So you can see Bed Bath & Beyond kind of, did its thing. Didn't really set up for us over here. You can kind of consider this a flag, but it really wasn't the cleanest. When we reclaimed this level and we started pushing up here with this bullish engulfing, it made me feel like, okay, hey, Bed Bath & Beyond is trying again. It didn't just fade off. It didn't just trade sideways. It's coming back up here. It's trying to make, another move up. Let's see if we can catch a setup on it. So once I noticed that, all I did was zoomed out on my chart. I looked left, and I had to find the pivot. I had to find something that we were going to risk off of. I had to find something that we're going to basically set up off of. The two pivots that I found were pivots from Friday's pre-market session, which was the open at 27 cents, and then also the 26.27 pivot from the pre-market high here. There's also a few more pivots back here from intraday Friday. I didn't really give any, once I found these two, I was pretty much all set. I wanted to look for a setup over one of these pivots. So fast forward a little, BBBY starts grinding back up. You guys can see we get a really nice high volume push here. And then we get a nice low volume VPA pullback. This VPA was a little higher. That's completely fine. Sometimes when I am trading flags, if the VPA is only like maybe 100,000 or 200,000 higher than the previous candle, it's nothing that I'm really too worried about. So we have a really nice flag here. You guys can see right into our 5-minute wick to body zone. So I'll also remove this and show you guys how I plot that. But we have a nice flag right over this 27 pivot. We got long in chat at 27.1 if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back and double check. We got long BBBY 27.5. As soon as we got long, we had a nice push up here into 28s. I took some profit off right away at 28.3s just to mitigate some risk. We ended up coming back down on BBBY down here. I ended up hitting some more just to kind of get this momentum rolling. Once we hit that, we got a little nice push through high day into our 29 area. I peeled some more off 29.2. Then we got another push into the 30 level, started peeling off 30, started peeling more off 31, started peeling more off into 32. And then I kind of had those runners, and I told you guys in chat, I don't believe there's a reason to exit this trade unless we break 29 cents. We ended up breaking 29 cents, and that's obviously when we sold. Let me get into that 5-minute wick to body zone. So at the time, we have our wick up here. I'll literally grab a rectangle box. I'll connect it to that, and I'll take it to our current, zone right here. So for example, you can have it something like this, and then here's your zone. So basically what I'm looking for in the zone is I'm looking for a break through this zone. Don't want to have it too far out like this. Let's do it like this. We'll do a 5-minute wick to body like that. And normally what I like to look for in the zone is I like to look for a breakthrough, and I like to look for a base inside of this zone. So for example, on BBBY, you could see that we clearly broke through. We based on a few candles, and then we continued our rally. And then every dip into this zone after that would be could possibly be a dip buy. Sometimes you might break through the zone and fall right through it. Sometimes you might break through the zone and actually hold over it like we are here on BBBY. And you could sometimes get some nice dip buys off of it. I also like the zones because, support and resistance is not going to be a specific price. It's always going to be an area. So the zones kind of help me identify the areas of support and resistance that I need to put a lot of focus on. So we got long on the flag. We started peeling into the levels. Took the rest off once we broke below VWAP or 29 cents, and we never looked back. BBBY, obviously reclaiming through the zone here. We'll see if it can get back over 30 to make that move back into 32s. Another trade that we took on the day was PRST. PRST, really nice trade. Notice this 5-minute flag right here over this initial high of day area, right around this 290 pivot. Go ahead and mark that for you guys right around here, 291. It wasn't really the cleanest flag. We kind of had this downtrend that we needed to get over. I believe it was setting up on the 5, also setting up on the 10 right there. You guys could see clearly high volume push, low volume pullback into the 290s pivot, also lining up with the EMA and the VWAP. Multiple things telling you that this is a high probability setup that might work out. However, I added it on the 5-minute, and when I added it, I wasn't really looking at it as a flag. I was kind of looking at it more of, okay, hey, we're simply holding this 290 pivot. I noticed that there were bidders coming in every time we dipped down at 290s, and I told myself, hey, let me get long near 290s. We'll risk off 290s, and we'll see where this thing goes. There was shorts obviously trying to bring this name down. If I go to the 1-minute, you guys could see literally all of it. Like every time we pushed up, shorts were trying to bring it down. And it was just kind of one of those simple trades where, hey, there was just no follow through. Shorts weren't winning. And, we had to see where it would go. So once I noticed the bidders were stacking at 290s, I noticed they were consistent. It wasn't just one bidder. It was many different bidders. I decided to get long against 290. Once again, you guys could see high volume push, low volume pullback into the 290s. Then you guys could see that volume divergence of the buyer stepping back in to give us that stair step effect. And then bam, we get that massive move. So this one over here, I don't remember my average exactly. What was this? I think it was maybe like 294, something like that. Was risking, I think I put it on my Twitter, 1 second. Yeah, PRST, that was the 338 trade. The first trade was 297 to 380s on this 5-minute flag. So I added 297, risking the 290 pivot here. Reason I was risking 290 is because it lines up with this pivot. It also lines up with EMA, and then we did have VWAP right below it. Wasn't going to do anything crazy and risk off this zone down here off 250. There would be no point. I could just reposition. So I decided to risk off, I guess you could call this, this micro pivot over here. Got long 297, was risking off 290. Got a nice push here through our down trend line into this $3.10 area. I began to peel some profits off. I believe it was into 3. It wasn't all the way up at 310s. And then on this candle, we get a massive leg up. And so you guys could see my couple of scales right here going into 3s, 310s. Right here we have a massive leg into 340s. I believe I peeled some into, if I'm not mistaken, it was 330s. I believe so. I was peeling into 330s right here. And then I took my last piece off into 370s when we made this second massive leg up. I was like, okay, hey, I'm not gonna try and see how high this can go. I did not leave runners. I was planning on re-adding, and that's what I did over here. I'll get into that in a second. But once we caught this nice move out of it, it was kind of like, cool, I'm going to take my money and I'm going to go find the next trade. Fast forward a little, on the 1-minute, I noticed we were kind of coming into this zone. I noticed there were more bidders coming up off of this zone. And right here is where I kind of felt comfortable entering because we had this down candle. Shorts hit it really, really hard, and then they pick it up right away. They get a bunch of higher lows, and shorts were simply not getting the follow through that they wanted, and that told me, hey, this thing's probably going to short squeeze. Let me see if I can get another dip buy on it. So then that's when I picked some up right here off of the 355 pivot, rode it up into new high a day right around 4, and I believe I got out at 398, and I believe I got out near some into 380s if I'm not mistaken. So right into high a day, I peeled some off, and then right here is when I took my remaining off. Those are my 2 trades on this name so far. Third trade, tried doing it again. I believe there was a 5-minute flag set up here if I'm not mistaken. Dun, dun, dun. Where is it? I don't know why it disappeared. So I was trying to do the zone buy again right here. Clearly it didn't work. As soon as we broke through this 355, I cut it at 350. So even though I'm getting long off the zone, expecting kind of the same trade to play out, I'm cutting it instantly when it's not working. I'm not sitting here and, adding into the position. Sometimes I will, but that's only if I'm trying to build a position in the name. If I'm just going in with the size like this and then it's not working, I'm just going to cut it and I'm going to wait for that next entry. So that's exactly what happened here. I took the little L right here, nothing crazy. And then we come down into the lower end of the zone. I noticed the bidder stepping in. And that's when I got long at, I believe it was $3.38. Let me double check. $3.38. And I rode it one shot all the way up to 370s right here. took some profit off in the 370s. And then this upper trend line at the time is where I took the rest off right at $3.94 right into here. So even though I took the L right here, I stayed patient, I stayed calm, I stayed collected. I waited for the next, pivot to kind of risk off of. Took it over there and it ended up working out. Sometimes, you're going to take these pivot trades and it's not going to work out. Sometimes you're going to take the pivot trades and it's going to work out. So it's all about how you manage your risk, because if this went red and then this went red, then I caught this one, there's a possibility I could have been still, red on the name. So you must manage your risk properly. Into the end of day over here, we kind of had this 5-minute flag set up. You guys could see high volume push right through our resistance, right through high a day, low volume pullback into previous high a day. Sorry, I had a few ads here. Believe I tapped some right into I tapped some here into 430s, and then I tapped one of these lower wicks in a 427s. We got a nice little push in a 440s, almost 450s. Notice the walls were really, really heavy here. Started peeling off into here, and then ultimately took my last piece right when this candle flipped red. I took my last piece off break even, and then we did get a nice move in a 470s. Not anything I'm too worried about. It was a little scalp. It wasn't anything crazy. But when a name is kind of giving me these nasty moves right here, these indecisive moves, I'm not really interested anymore, because I rather come in the morning and make my money on the setup and then leave the headache setup to everyone else that wants to chase or everyone else that missed the first setup. So when I'm trading, I'm trying to trade smart. I'm not trying to trade hard. So I'll get my setup, I'll make my money over here, I'll make my money over here. And then when a setup becomes like this, it becomes noisy and indecisive, I'll just bail. It is what it is. I don't care if this rips anymore. It's going to give me a headache. There's no point for me to be here and trouble myself when I caught a few great setups over here. So that's just something. So when I noticed it wasn't really doing what I wanted it to do, I just bailed. Next trade on the day would have been CFRX. CFRX, very similar. Nice 5-minute flag setup. We caught it right over here. So very high volume push. You guys could see. Wasn't even a stair step effect, literally right into the open. We have this massive push up all the way into this 360s area. Then we get a nice 5-minute flag look, so you guys could see right into the pre-market high pivot. We get a high volume push, low volume or descending stair step down volume into the pivot. Also lining up with EMA and VWAP. Buyers clearly stepping off the pivot. You could tell by this lower wick left by the candle. We get long, I believe it was... We got long $2 and I want to say that's 76 cents. Is that where we got long here? No, this was 302. I remember I told you guys in the Premier side, I wrote, finding the message. Give me 1 second. I wrote in the Premier chat at 9:51, watching for this dip into $3 on CFRX. We have this dip in a 3. We get long $3.02. Then I write flag is heavy, getting ready to manage in case. And then as soon as we start opening up, we start peeling our profits off. We peel some here into 310. We peel more into 320. Then we peeled more into 332. Let me get on the 1 minute so you guys could see these scales. So this is where we were hitting it. We were hitting it down in a 310. Then I hit more off 3s. And then we took some off into 310s here. Took some off into 320s. Then we took some off into 330s up here. And then we were flat on this candle right here. And on this candle, I actually got very lucky. I actually got out of my position at $3.02. So I stand corrected. We had 294 average. And then I closed everything out at $3.02 once this candle went green. And then it kind of flushed into red. And I was like, okay, hey, I'm not going to get caught in a flush right now. I'm just going to chill. Then I hit some more down here. Obviously got the quick scalp off of it into 325s. So kind of just playing off the range. Added more here, hit some more down here. Got some off into the 320 pop. Got some more off into the 330 pop. So right here, guys, I'm just playing the range. That's literally it. So once I notice that this name is playing in a range, I'm not really interested in doing anything until we break one of these levels. So if we broke, through the highs right here, as I was telling Premier, I'm going to wait for that 340 break and see if we get another setup up there. Although 290 was key. I was telling Premier in chat. Let me see what I was telling them. They might slurp it here. If they slurp it, I'll look for a re-entry. That was right on this candle. CFRX, interesting now. Dump and no follow through. We'll see if buyers continue to overpower sellers and give us a squeeze into highs, Overall price target if we start opening up is going to be $4.20 from looking at the daily. Nice gap that needs to be filled. And this is the gap I was looking at. Where is it? All the way up to here. That's $190, so it's probably all the way down here. Damn, why'd my daily do that? That's so weird. Alright, there we go. So here's our gap into, it's really 460s. I was just, 420s being nice, thinking we'd get that extension. We did not get that extension, obviously. We did not get our gap fill, but that's what I was kind of going for. I was hoping we would get that move into 420s and obviously get that continued momentum to get the gap fill. That didn't work out as planned. It's completely fine. And then right here, it took the rest off into 330s. This wasn't a trade that I alerted. This was kind of just a trade I took on my own. And then, we kind of had this big knife. It did what it did. Then I played the downtrend break right here. I got long over here at $2.76. Looking to build a position here, scaling in slowly. Once we get a pop into kind of 280s, I peeled some off into 280s just to mitigate a little bit of risk because I knew I was going to have to average down. I was expecting this flag over here that we were playing to fail. So we kind of had this flag look here. It went from a 5-minute flag to a 10-minute flag. You guys could see that right here. And then once we got this nice flush candle into 250s, that's when I hit it with the size I really wanted to get in. Don't know why my ad is not showing. There we go. So I hit it right when we came down into this 250 pivot. We got a nice move into 267s, peeled some off into 267, took some more off here into 273s. And then once this candle right here flushed, where is it? Right here. On this candle is when I took it out 264 and I told everyone in chat that I was going to revisit. Literally a second later, we put in this whole move. I was waiting for a setup. I was waiting for a 5-minute flag right here. I did not get a 5-minute flag. However, I flipped over to the 3-minute and we ended up forming a nice 3-minute flag right here. However, I missed it. I was looking for a 5-minute flag. We ended up forming a 3-minute flag. And it was just a couple of candles, from where we sold. It is what it is. I missed the move here. It kind of faked me out right here. I was kind of hesitant because I felt like this might flush on us, but it ended up doing, what we wanted it to do. And then I added some right here off of this 5-minute flag. You guys could see high volume push, low volume pullback, all the way into this 315 previous high pivot over here, also lining up with the body of the initial morning high candle, right off 315 there. I got long, I believe it was right around $3.15 or 17 cents. Peeled some off into 330s, peeled some more off here into 320s, and then I believe I took the remaining off in that same candle. Yeah, the candle right after. So once this candle started flushing, I took it off again. Normally when a name same like the previous name, PRST, when a name puts in a move like that, I'm not really trying to stay for a continuation move because these small caps, they don't really, some of them will give you a really good continuation move, but most of them, from my experience, they're going to give you a choppy move, an up and down move. They're going to hit your stop, then bounce right back up as this one did here. They're not going to give you clean moves. So that's why I always like to, as I was saying in the previous name I was reviewing, I like to make my money on the first setup, then everything else that I'm going to hit on the back end, always going to be smaller size, and I'm not really going to expect the most follow through. And if it starts giving me a feeling like, hey, this might not go the way I want it to, I'm simply going to cut. I'm not going to sit here and waste my time after I already nailed the setup. I already nailed my edge on it. There's no point for me to give myself a headache. Later in the day, was driving on my way home. Decided to put like 100 shares on right here just to see if we get a massive squeeze. We clearly didn't. I kind of just let this go. I was like, whatever, I'm driving, wasn't really worried about it, just 100 shares. So I got in this one, I think it was like 334, right around here. And then I sold out into this drop into into $3. Like I said, just lotto, just see if it opens up right here, see if it does anything. It didn't end up doing anything. It is what it is. Nothing I'm dying over. Next name that we traded on the day was BLCM. This was a really, really good trade here. BLCM, I actually came on the mic with everyone and I told you guys I was watching BLCM off of this 50 cent area because of this 5-minute wick to body zone. We ended up coming right into this zone. I got my ads in right here at 55 cents. We end up dropping all the way into 52 cents right here to bounce right off the zone. I didn't add any more because at the time you guys could see the name was kind of lower volume. There wasn't much bidding and there wasn't much, selling. So that made me think, okay, I have some money in this name right now. Either I add more into this name and kind of add off the pivot and I risk the name flushing on me, or I just keep what I have in the name and see what it does for me. That was kind of my mindset on it because normally when a name doesn't have much volume, it's either going to go in one direction very, very hard. It's either going to rally for you or it's either going to dump. There's either going to be that big buyer or there's going to be that big seller. So that's why I decided to just keep what I have in it and risk off that 50 pivot. Thankfully we didn't have to, close anything out at a loss. We ended up forming the really nice flag over here. Where is it on the 5? There we go. We ended up forming that 5-minute flag look, really high volume push, beautiful stair step effect, exactly what you want to see. Boom, 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 literally like you're walking upstairs and then literally like you're walking downstairs. Same thing over here, you're walking upstairs. This one's a little lower, no problem. And then, you continue that effect. So we got long on this one, 55 cents. I told you guys on mic I was looking for 60 cents and then I was looking for the curl into 65s and then obviously high a day. I peeled some off in front of 58 because I noticed there was a big wall. Once we got through 58, I peeled a little more into 59, and then this is when I peeled more into the upper trend line. Once we made this high, I put this trend line down, and right before this, I actually peeled some into 60s, so that was the target that I gave you guys. And then once we started opening up through this trend line, I'm like, okay, hey, let me go to my daily real quick, and I noticed this gap fill. I noticed we had a gap to 80 cents, and I told everyone on the mic, hey guys, I'm not taking any profit out of this name until we hit 80 cents. And we literally came up all the way into 80 cents for our gap fill, and I closed it out at 79 cents exactly. So I came up with my game plan from the flag. I had my risk, I had my reward, and I just followed my plan. Now this could have failed right here. We could have ended up coming down. Maybe if we cracked below this 58 pivot, maybe I would have started to de-risk, but it worked out for us. We had a plan. We did leave a lot of money on the table, so we didn't really leave our runners, but I don't really care about runners if I have a set plan and I'm following that plan. So if I say, hey, I think this name's going to 80 cents and the name goes to 80 cents like it did, if I'm looking for that gap fill, then when we get that gap fill, I'm not going to sit here and try to get it for more. I came up with a plan. I had my defined risk. My plan worked out. I'm going to close it out where my plan said to close it out, and I'm going to execute like a robot. That's one big thing that I'm really, really big on. We did kind of form a little 3-minute flag here. I'm just noticing that right now. But overall, really good trade on this BLCM. Next name on the day would have been, these were a lot of low volume ones. So these are the red trades that I had on the day. We'll get into those too, of course. We won't only show what's green. JAGX, really nice 5-minute flag. Was talking about it in chat. Was telling you guys it's high risk because there's really no bidders here. And so we added right here. Well, I added right here. I didn't even alert it. We get a nice high volume push. We get a low volume pullback into our pivot. I get long up to 65 pivot. I believe I have 66 average. And then I take some off right here into 67, I believe. High 66s, so I had 65 average. Took some off into 66. I hit some more right here to try to get momentum going. Then we flush right here, and then I close it out right below VWAP. So this falls back on the on what I just said on the previous name. When there's no volume, it's gonna move in one direction, and it's gonna move hard. So you guys see how there's no volume, and look at this violent move down. We get a violent move from 66 to 61. Granted, it sucked back up. That would suck to take a loss down there. Granted, it sucked right back up, but that just goes to show when you're trading names that are lower volume, these are the kind of moves you should expect. You should expect either a violent move up or a violent move down. Was lucky enough to that not take a huge loss on this. It was just a small L. It is what it is. Reason why I did get long though is because obviously when you're getting long on a name, you're hoping the name is going to work out in your favor. You're hoping the name is going to rip for you. And when I got long on this flag, I went in with the mindset of, okay, hey, I'm going to take this size on this flag. I'm going to risk off of this. If these bidders come in, we're going to have some range to open up. For example, let me go ahead and just show you right here. You guys will see for yourself. if this flag started to open up, we get through 67, we get through 68. What's our next pivot? 72. What's our next pivot? 77, almost 80. What's our next pivot? Up here into 80s. What's our next pivot? Up here into 85. So from a risk to reward standpoint, it's a trade I would take any day, just because if it did work out, if it did open up, it would give us all that range. It would give us that possibility to run. We had all the way to pre-market high from 65. That's a great trade in my opinion. Next trade we took on the day was NRBO. Ended up trading this one 2 times. Kind of seen this, setup right here. It was off of BLCM. So BLCM was ripping. I noticed when BLCM started ripping, this name went with it. This name just started opening up, NRBO. So I just decided to hit some right here off of this 1 minute consolidation. I decided to hit some and see if we get that follow through 95 into obviously 97 pre-market high, then $1 plus. Another one, just to show you guys, another one that has a lot of range. I think it's because I have this 200 on here. Yeah. So here's another one with a lot of range. If we got through the 95, we have room into $1.05, then we have gap fill all the way to $1.20. So it's not like I'm just getting in these low volume names just hoping they're gonna rip. They have range. They have, the possibility to rip. They just didn't rip at the time. Thought this one was gonna follow BLCM, but it did not. So took the L there, right when it cracked this pivot below 90. Took the L there. And then I noticed this little flag right here. We did have this kind of high volume reclaim, low volume VPA into the pivot right here, which would have been EMA 9. Also this previous high area right here of 87.988 cents. Decided to get long against 88 cents right here. Ended up stopping out on the break through this pivot right here into 87s. Flag was nice. I did put this one in the chat and I did let you guys know, like, hey, there's no volume here. It might not work out, but it is setting up a flag. Normally, another tip, guys, normally when I am trading these lower volume names, I'm never going full size. You never want to get trapped in a position, full size or big size, whatever big size might be to you. You don't want to get trapped in a low volume name, and you don't want to get caught in a flush with that big size. So always when I am trading something with not many bidders, or something with a spread, or something with lower volume, I am always, obviously de-risking, and I am always playing with that smaller size in case I do have to take a loss. With that being said, those are pretty much all my trades on the day. There's nothing else besides those names. Figured I'd come check on BBBY and see what we're doing now. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions, I know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9 of you in chat. If you guys have any questions, you guys can go ahead and unmute your mics. We'll jump into those questions. But for everyone watching this on YouTube, that's pretty much all of it from me. I hope to catch you guys all in the next review. Thanks.